ready to go? Hi, I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host this morning for the Dawn Patrol. We have City Life coming in at 7 o'clock, and we have John Moses scheduled to be our guest at 7. We'll find out what he's up to, or maybe we'll limit to what he's up to. You never know. And my co-host...
Maybe he's not up to anything. I don't know.
Well, we have to wait to see if he's going to get here. Anyway, my co-host Sam Chase and Bob Hoey, thanks guys for being here. John McDonough behind the camera and making comments, and not only being producer but director at many times. And we'll see how that all goes. Nice Thursday morning. Obviously had rain over the weekend, quite a bit of rain. And we always need the rain. Remember, you don't have to shovel it, and if you don't have rain, you don't have water and you can't drink anything. It was about, 62 this morning, so
Yeah.
very comfortable.
I think our drought condition is largely resolved at this point. This is what they were saying last night on the weather, so,
Yes.
which is good.
Which is a good thing.
Because we've been in a drought situation for 4 or 5 years?
At least.
Yeah.
But you still have Massachusetts state law that requires you to be under certain levels. So when you see signs in your community that says level 1, 2, 3, whatever, that is required by law. And somebody will say, well, we got plenty of water. Well, that's fine, but you still need to be able to conserve the water because why waste it? It's just something that, for me, it's ethics, I guess.
It is, and that, a lot of that has to do with fire suppression, to make sure that the tanks are where they're supposed to be and you have sufficient pressure and so on. So it isn't just general water consumption, so,
And I believe this will be the 14th weekend we have rain coming
Saturday,
up in
but
a row.
according to the forecast this morning, now I watch WCVB Channel 5 because I think they have the best weather.
I watched them too.
That's just my opinion, okay? I think they have, of all the Boston channels, I think they have the most accurate weather. And she said that she modified her forecast, because last night they were calling for pretty much a soaker all day Saturday plus rain on Sunday. So this morning she said, well, looks like the rain's going to stop around noontime Saturday, so it looks like you're going to have some
time
sunshine
to work
Saturday.
outside.
And she said Father's Day Sunday should be nice. So that was encouraging.
Well,
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, because sometimes they say it's going to rain and it doesn't, and sometimes it rains when they aren't quite sure, because there's pop-up showers. It just is dependent on an awful lot of things. They can predict what they can see coming in, but sometimes certain things will happen that just happen at the border, like in New York State.
Things change
Yeah, and that's the way
instantaneously.
the weather is.
Right.
It's just something that happens. They have reasons for it, but we don't need to get into all of that meteorological stuff this morning, that's for sure. When we talk about water, there was, I listened to some news on the way in, and they're very much concerned about the Chinese government being involved with the ability to shut our water off, our electricity, because a lot of the components and the things that they've done to update the delivery service is chips and things that came from China, and embedded in that is the ability for them to control. And so that's one of the conversations this morning. Yes, but this is a different government that's in charge of the water. This is a government called China that's in charge of the water.
Well, we have to decide, do we want to trust the local government to be in charge of the water, or we'd rather have Chinese water? I mean, if you had any Chinese food, it's delicious. Chinese do pretty good stuff.
They're going to shut your water off. What are you going to do about it?
If the city does it,
No.
nothing
If
to-
China does it and they shut your water off and they shut off the electricity, are you prepared?
yes.
Oh, good. Where is your storage of water?
I have a cistern under the ground.
Oh, good.
Cistern, we've been collecting water since 1945.
Well,
So
anyway,
we have a bountiful portion.
they also
Have to drill
discussed,
your own well, I guess.
they also discussed the fact that local, the local governments, like state governments, and then, say like Lowell and that, when they're doing certain business, they do not have the, what do you want to call it? The most direct eye on that type of, I would say, infiltration within their government. They're not looking at it in terms of homeland security, whereas the federal government is, and they're finding different things out. The other comment also that was made about communist China was the fact that at least 100,000 people are killed each year from fentanyl, and the fentanyl sources them. So they're killing 100,000 of our people every year, and everybody thinks it's lovely and wonderful. One of
But
my rants.
that number, excuse me, that number's falling because of our borders being secured
Right, but they're
more.
going to figure out a way to continue to do that. Plus, they have a lot in this country that I'm not even going to tell you what I would do if I wanted to take over a country, so we'll just leave it at that. I have a number of rants for the first hour. I want to be cautious with the second hour because I think that John is involved, not John McDonough, but John Moses is involved in an awful lot of the demonstrations and things against the current administration in Washington, D.C. But one of the things that I have been listening to is all of the, I would call them riots, disorder, kind of like trying to repeat what happened with Black Lives Matter the last time that Trump was in office, and what happened in LA, and a lot of misinformation and lies that are actually happening. I thought it was disingenuous for some Democrats to say they were peaceful demonstrations. I was watching things as they were happening in the news, and that was being followed in LA. It wasn't after the fact, just simply because certain things kind of went bad for what do you want to call it, ICE agents that were happening in LA. And I didn't see that it was very peaceful to begin with. So there are peaceful protests that are there, but there's also, I don't consider shutting down highways. I don't consider chopping up your sidewalk and throwing concrete at police cars and having Molotov cocktails and there's a huge list of things. I don't believe that is part of a peaceful protest. And then you have the mayor coming out and saying that they have a program or a process by which that they can interfere with anything that happens with ICE in the city of LA. Yes.
If you want to get to the train station this morning in Lowell, good luck to you. On the screen is the corner of my street. That's Highland Street in Thorndike. There's a water main break. You can see, I don't know if you can see it on your TV set, but there's a water main break. And so inbound on Thorndike Street is broken. So if you want to get to the train station, you got to get down. You got to go up Chesford Street.
Right,
You can only do Thorndike Street outbound.
right.
So find a way to Thorndike Street outbound, and you get to the train station. And so far as the Rogers School is concerned, they get a few hours, like 2 hours, to clean up this mess. But I don't know the status. I can see one of the water guys is here already.
They were drilling when I came in.
They're drilling like right around here someplace?
Yeah, down where the
Okay.
break is, yeah. So the water department was there when I came in.
So right now, if you want to go to the train, text your friend or whatever, call your friend and say, hey, look, if you can't get to the train station, so do outbound of Thorndike Street. So, sorry, but it is what it is.
I thought, when I drove in, I thought it was a major crime, you had like 6 police cruisers for a water break. I thought that was a
Well, you
pretty
come in-
aggressive response for a water break.
Yeah,
but-
you come in Thorndike.
Yeah.
I come in the other way
Well,
from
the
the Lowell
protests that
Connector.
are going on in Lowell about ICE is 2 Democrats and 1 homeless guy. Those
Oh,
are the
okay.
protesters.
All right, so it's the water thing is more important. There you go.
So if you think that it's just a water main break, and again, it's Thorndike Street, outbound, you can still get to the connector, you can still get to the train station, outbound. If you're trying to get to the train station like you're going to City Hall, in what I call inbound, forget it, baby. Oh, boy, they're putting tape up now.
Do you have cameras that you can put it on the screen for us too?
I thought it was. Sorry.
Thank you.
There you go.
So this is,
That's Thorndike
Current.
Street. And look, they just put the tape up. Oh, boy, this is going to be a long day.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
Put the tape up. That's an indicator. It's going to be a long day.
They're probably waiting for an outside vendor to come and fix the pipes because
Could
according to
be.
what Eric
And
Gitch's
they have to
been
get through
telling
the
me,
traffic.
we don't even fix our own pipes anymore. They spend a lot of money getting someone from the outside. to
Really?
do it. Yeah.
Somebody that's not familiar with where this is, can you give us a clue as to
Well,
what
if you go to
street-
if you've gone to the train station in Lowell,
No, I've
never?
never been there.
Oh, really? Oh, no kidding.
See
Yeah.
that brick
Wow,
building
you
to the
country
right?
bumpkin.
That brick building to the right, that's Sal Lepoli's building. Remember the building he built? It's right behind.
Thorndike
Okay, so we're
Factory-
looking at Thorndike Street here?
Yep.
Thorndike Factory Outlet. This
Yeah, I
is
knew about
Thorndike
that
Street.
before he bought the building, and we used to go there and look at furniture, and there was other vendors that were in there.
Yeah.
So again, you can go outbound, right here, you can go outbound. Inbound, the cop's got to shut down. The water main break is, I don't know, somewhere along here. See them sitting there digging up the ground.
Yeah, they were, it's off to your left, I think.
Let's see, if I
John.
move the camera, it's elm trees. I'll move the camera just for
Yeah.
laughs.
Do you have funerals today?
Yeah. Well, but again, the cops are good. You just tell the cop, look, I'm going to the funeral home, they're good.
Yeah, because it doesn't affect your street.
No, the other end is closed too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Like where's
Sam
Southern,
said.
Southern Highland? I'll show you Southern Highland. There's a cop car sitting there. This is Southern Highland. So
Yeah, that's where I was.
they're not going to let you,
But when I came in, there were two cars.
They're gonna let the school people in, though.
yeah.
Right, there were two cars, so it was just enough room for the people going towards the old courthouse to get by, and there was a long line of traffic, so I had to I sat in the intersection, and I waited,
See, I go
Yeah,
out,
now
that-
everybody has to
because going in the
come in
other.
Gorham. You can't come in Thorndike.
Yeah,
I
so-
go out that way, but I come in the other way. So what I do is I make a circle.
Yeah, I don't do that, I just do come in and out the way I've always done for
So-
a very long time. So, anyway,
Well, there
so
you go.
a
There's-
little bit of excitement, but
Yep.
it's not a demonstration, it's a water main
When
break.
does it, when does?
A texter tells me the break is at Thorndike at Highland.
Yes, correct. Just as you enter Highland, maybe about.
From Thorndike.
Yeah, about 50, 60 feet towards Bill Ricker, going in the Bill Ricker direction.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's unfortunate.
And they were, when I came in, it was, what, 5 minutes of 6, they were already there, they were drilling. The water department was digging up the,
So
The
if
road.
you need, well, for the people who utilize the train to get to work,
yeah, they're in trouble if they come in that way
yeah,
normally.
because what a mess this is.
Yeah.
This is, everybody trying to come into Lowell today is coming down Highland Street because you're getting shut off on Thorndike.
Yep.
Well, ought to be exciting. You have cameras.
Oh, well, there you go. A little bit of something out of the, you don't get too many water breaks,
I
right?
have some great Chelmsford news.
I got another camera. I'm going to play with the other camera.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, good.
Well, the Chelmsford High School baseball team's going for the state championship.
Yes.
So that's really good news.
I don't know what my grandson plays. I don't think it's the high school team, but I don't know that currently. And I know that he got a job. There's a new restaurant that has opened in Chelmsford. It's where Andiama's used to be on Boston Road, in behind Fishbones. And
They
it's,
specialize in ribs and barbecue.
Yeah.
How
barbecue.
tasty is it?
I don't know, I haven't been there.
Fishbones that's good.
Well, you need to
Seafood.
experiment.
Well, John Kurland, who is an expert on ribs and barbecue,
Maybe the
Okay,
six
yeah.
of us should go. Can we go?
he has already, well, they did takeout this past
Well,
weekend.
wait, tell us.
And he says it's wonderful. Food's great, so,
Just a wonderful.
yeah, well, he likes it.
The
But
only reason I
he's
would
pretty-
like to taste it-
He's a pretty tough guy to,
No, I found him as a kind man. I like
well,
him.
when it comes to ribs, I mean, he's a connoisseur, so if he tells you the ribs are good, they're good.
When he ran for Board of Selectmen, and then those of us that worked on his campaign, he took us out to dinner. And was that in Worcester? And
No,
he,
Marlboro.
Okay, so we went, well, it's close.
Yeah.
And so he took us to a barbecue place, and that was fine, except I normally don't eat barbecue because of acid reflux. But I might taste it if I went, because I know Glenn loves it, because I make barbecue ribs myself. And I would taste to see if there was something different.
Do you use pork or beef?
Oh, no, I use pork because the beef is too expensive. Years and years ago,
I like the pork
um,
myself.
when I I traveled back and forth a little bit more to Quincy. There's a place in Quincy called Roxy's. It's down on Southern Artery, if anybody's familiar with the city. And it's a meat market. It has a few other things, but amenities for people, but it's basically a meat market. But when the kids were, I think they were in high school, I would buy their beef ribs. Now, their beef ribs on the bone, it was the actual rib. I mean, it was a good-sized piece of bone, and then the beef on it, and then I would bake it. I didn't do the barbecue sauce on it, and it was very tasty. But it was only like $1 a pound, and you could just, because they were just trying to get rid of the ribs. Now it's a thing. There was also short ribs that used to be like $1, $2 a pound. Now they're like 8 or 9 or more for short ribs because it became a thing. And everybody wanted them. But I used to cook them like you would a pot roast in the oven for 2 hours, and the meat would just fall off the bone. It was very, very tasty. But I don't buy it anymore.
There's a vendor who comes.
Probably Ronnie and Bubba coming on. Anybody else coming?
I can just think of Ronnie and Bubba, that's it.
Dickie, that's about it. Okay, I'll tell Dickie too. Thanks.
There's a fellow that comes up from Florida every year at the end of April and sets up a shop in Westford, right over the Chelmsford line. It's called Hubba's Ribs, and he's got a big van, and he does ribs and brisket every day. And they start cooking in the morning, and they close whenever they sell out, usually somewhere between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. And he's been doing that for about 15 or 20 years. And then in the end of September, he closes up shop, and he goes back down to Florida. So if you want really good ribs, I would suggest that's Route 110, Littleton Road, going from Chelmsford to Westford. Check out Hubba. He's pretty good. So, Hubba's Ribs.
Well, Boston just came up with a great idea. They're going to have food trucks. They draw a lottery to see what trucks can go out on the streets till 3 a.m. So they're going to keep it alive, Boston, till 3 a.m. So there'll be a lot of money to be made.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, they do have food trucks at Navigation Brewery in Chelmsford.
Yeah, because they're not allowed to do food in the.
They don't have the,
Right.
well, first of all, they'd have to start building stuff, and then they'd have to beat a code. So they serve beer, but there's, if you want food, they usually have food trucks. So they had this Maine lobster food truck. So we went the first time that they advertised it. It wasn't too bad. It was very tasty.
Maine lobster food truck.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I did take pictures of it. I didn't send those to John, but if I have,
Is that all you could get, or did they have other stuff?
they have
too?
other stuff. They have other stuff that you can get.
There's an Asian truck that will be out in Boston called Heat, Hyt, the last name. They'll be putting out Asian food at 3 a.m., so.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
Sometimes the
that's
food
gonna be a
trucks are
great
better than
thing.
the restaurants.
I'm not eating at 3 a.m.
No, but believe
But
me,
some people
believe
do.
me, the
I
Boston
know they do.
crowd dies at about midnight, 1 o'clock. It's dead. There's nowhere to eat.
Well,
So
unless-
these trucks are going
yeah.
to really help the
if you have
businesses.
if you have a game or something that
Yeah.
goes late, people want to eat after that. So, yeah.
After a night of drinking, they're
Yeah.
going to do a night of eating too. No, so.
But
Well, let me tell
Boston,
you.
there's plenty of restaurants in Boston, but they're expensive. So the food trucks offer an alternative to that. I think that's a good idea. They'll do a good business.
Yeah, and it's because Boston really closes down early.
Yep.
So the name of the food truck, and it was at Navigation Brewery over the weekend, Cousins, Maine Lobster. And they were funded, I'm trying to see if I can read this. Anyway, there's Cousins that run the truck, and they get their lobsters from the Gulf of Maine.
Well, how much is a lobster sandwich?
Usually a lobster roll will run you around $30. It depends on where you go.
Ouch.
The best one so far that I've had, if I want to have more, is in Alton Bay, New
Have you
Hampshire.
tried Chelmsford Creamery?
No, I haven't got
Kilkenny-
that far.
I don't think they have.
Delicious.
I don't think they have lobster rolls.
They do.
What, the creamery does?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
No kidding.
Delicious, $33. I took my granddaughter, I picked her up, Zoe, the oldest one, I picked her up at school the other day. She's up at Lowell Catholic now. I picked her up and she said, hey, can we go get some lobster roll? I says, yeah, well, where do you want to go? She says, Chesford Creamery,
God,
$33.
I did not know because they have ice cream
And
and
she
they
said
have,
it was outstanding, delicious.
okay. I'll
It would
have to
be
check that.
seasonal.
That's, my daughter lives in that neighborhood.
So now you have,
So we have to, we go to the creamery for their ice cream, but not I didn't realize they had lobster rolls.
I haven't had a piece of lobster in my whole life, but Kilkenny Pub has them for $22 on Friday.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's,
Now what you're looking at there is
now we have another.
Highland Street. You can't come up Highland Street.
You can go out, but you can't go in.
Yeah. At Thorndike and Highland, the other end of Highland Street, I got to, I got to move the camera to show that one.
Right, and see, when I came in, I already knew that if I couldn't, if they told me I couldn't go, I was saying, I'm going in the funeral home.
Yeah.
And then they would be fine.
That's what, yeah. If
Yeah.
you look at your text, that's what the text said.
Yeah.
I'm going to swing this around here to the other
Yeah.
end.
But I was
Street.
driving, I don't read my text while I'm driving.
That's a good thing.
Well, see, when you get your new car, the text comes over the car.
Yes, I understand, Glenn has that. So I'm going to send you a picture, so you have a picture.
So like this is,
Can you go more to the left? Because that's where
no,
the.
my
that-
house is there.
Okay, all right, yeah, because that's where the water break is. It's on the left side of the,
I'll zoom in,
Street.
but the house is in the way.
All right.
I hate it when that happens.
Oh, they're on scene. They got a dump truck. They already have, they've already outsourced it, Bobby. 'Cause
Yeah.
the city doesn't own any Kentworths.
So,
Yeah, they've been outsourcing everything. That's been a big issue.
so they used to, so how long have they been doing that, do you know?
No,
Oh, they're already, look at, they got this, they got
we
that.
have the staff
Boy.
to do it.
They got the
but
steam
they-
shovel.
I'll tell you, they're in good shape. Well, that's not a bad response. What time is it?
It's 6:24.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I say, if they were able to get somebody, at that point, boy, they're really making a project out of this.
So you can, if you need to get to the train station, the only way you can get to the train station is find a way to come down Thorndike as if you were coming from the Lord overpass. If
Yeah.
you're trying to get to the train station from the connector,
No, can't do
the
it.
only way you can do it is it's a PIA. It's a real PIA because you can't take at this time of day you can't get down South Street.
They're not letting anybody past Highland, so if you're coming in from that direction, they're diverting you down Highland Street. So you're not getting past that point going inbound to the city.
So if you have a relative that depends on the train, they're probably not understanding what the problem is. You might give them a call on their cell phone and
Tell them to start walking.
them. No, they just realize somehow get to Chelmsford Street, Chelmsford at the Lord overpass, take a right and come in that way.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna have to
That's the
do.
only way you can do it.
And if you live in my neighborhood, go to Barica. Go down Woburn Street and go to the Barica station. this
Yeah,
morning.
Barica Station. Is it free parking there, Bob?
No, you gotta
No.
pay. You gotta pay.
You gotta pay, okay.
See that photo you got on TV, the picture? See the slate roof?
Yep.
That's my roof.
Well, you see how you got a few slates that are starting to fall down?
Yeah, Dougie Mercier fixes it.
Yeah, you need to send someone up there about every three or 4 years, just to, even if they don't do anything, just to fix the loose ones. Put a few metal bibs between the spots where you can see wood. But those slate roofs, I don't know why they don't leak. They last forever.
They last forever, but they
Oh.
leak. That's what they used to tell us about slate roofs.
If you go in the attic, you can see 1,000
Yeah.
lights. You can see, and you say, how doesn't
Nope.
it leak more? But it doesn't leak.
Well, there's
a
no
lot.
underlayment.
What happens is, no,
Yeah.
under there's another, it's a second roof.
Yeah,
Oh, you got something under the slates?
There's wooden roof, shakes, I think they call it.
wood shakes. Yeah.
Oh, they put it over it, so
Yeah.
it's like you have a double roof?
Yeah, so what happens is, on a wicked rainy day, I'll go up to the attic and look for leaks with my flashlight at nighttime. And not in honey, so I'm happy.
It's amazing that they don't leak more. But that truck's right in front of where we used to go to the Keith dances at Keith Academy
They're on it,
on
baby.
a Saturday, yeah.
There can't be that many people that know how to do slate roofs left, right?
No, most roofers still know how to
So
repair.
Evelyn,
Do
the
they
texts
really?
Yeah,
are
it's
not
got
coming
that.
through
Okay,
that I
that's
can put
simple.
them there.
They didn't come through?
I got them on my phone, but they have to go through on the
Must be
computer.
expensive.
Do you want me to see if I can get
Oh,
them on
this is the new car.
Facebook? Yeah,
This is
Nowadays,
beautiful.
yeah, but they got fake roofs now, you know.
it's pretty.
They have-
You want me to move those over
Yeah.
to,
Right.
Send them a messenger on
okay.
Facebook
okay.
Messenger.
Yep, not a problem. I just have to get in there, and then people can take a look at
Who
some of the
needs
pictures.
batteries?
This mic is blinking. It's been blinking since we started.
Okay, well, I got batteries when it dies. We're good. It's Thursday.
Oh, excuse me.
It's got-
Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, just so that people know.
Yeah.
So,
13 is not
exciting day in Lowell. We have a water main break, and you can't get to the train station. And the kids won't be able to get to school, and they'll go like, hip, hip, hooray.
Now, when does school end in Lowell? What day?
I think this week.
The 16th, I believe,
okay.
17th maybe, I think it's the 16th.
I take it
though.
next, then it's next week. Yeah, because Tewksbury ends the 7th, yeah.
17th in
The
Chelmsford.
next week it's ending. The private schools are ending now.
Westford's going till the 21st. I found out yesterday, because they took a lot of snow days.
Yeah, I had to go to a graduation last night for my 14-year-old that graduated from the 8th grade out in Townsend. So it was held at the North Middlesex
Yep.
High School.
That's a nice
Beautiful
facility.
school.
Beautiful
Oh, yeah,
facility.
Really, really beautiful school, yeah.
I have a friend that lives right there, in that neighborhood, but right near the school. And so I'm familiar with it. They did a nice job when they
Yeah.
renovated that place, yeah. So they actually had a formal graduation ceremony for 8th grade?
Yeah, they did. It was a good time, too,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Question comes out there, how many water main breaks have happened this year? In Lowell, we've been pretty lucky. Out in Tewksbury, there's like at least one a week. in
Really?
Tewksbury, Yeah.
Well, old pipes, I guess, huh?
Yeah, the infrastructure needs to be upgraded. There should be some kind of a schedule as they go from one street to the next.
Yeah, we don't have that many in Chelmsford.
There was
keep-
some water main break that was somewhere there.
Well, we had
you-
one. We had one on our street about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, excuse me.
If you keep talking about this water main, I guarantee you, and how many you want to know happen in Lowell, I think quite a bit. I think we're into the millions of dollars, and we might have a call coming in over it, because
Somebody will
you
tell
know
us.
who, you know who knows most about this issue in Lowell. I say his name too much, so I'll just keep, who would you think would call about a water main break and who's
Bozo the Clown, that's my guess.
No, I would say Eric Gitchen
Of
might
course.
call in because he knows how much money we've spent on outside contractors to fix this issue when we have the staff in Lowell. It's kind of puzzling to me, actually. Ned Tommy would be another one that would know about this issue.
So the excavator isn't doing any excavating yet.
No, they're lining everything up.
Old timers would call it the steam shovel. The steam shovel hasn't started digging yet.
Well, it used to be, 100 years ago, it was a steam shovel. It was run by steam power.
That's what I called it until
We called it that when we were kids.
I met
yeah.
Roger Pluff, and then I realized it's not a steam shovel, it's an excavator.
Well, it's what you knew. My father called a refrigerator an ice box until the day he died, because when he was a kid, it was an ice box. So,
So anybody trying to
Yeah.
come into Lowell on Thorndike Street is being diverted to Highland Street. Anybody who's trying to get to the train station, good luck to you. The only way you can get to the train station is to come to the train station on Thorndike Street as if you were leaving City Hall in Lowell. That's the only way you can come. You can come through the lot overpass, take a right, and head like you were leaving for the connector.
oh, look at all the
I
traffic.
use that almost every day to take my grandson to the high school. That is going to be a cluster today right there. It's going to be unbelievable.
Well, let's see how long it takes them to fix the break. Anybody got any projections?
One of our texters is saying that this happened 2:30 this morning. No update to reopen on the
2:30.
LPD.
Okay. Do they post, does the police department post?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, okay.
I got a text earlier this morning from one of my colleagues, Paula Clark, and that's how I found everything was broken. Then Frascarelli called me, Gary Francis from the radio station, he called me. We chit-chatted.
Frascarelli,
And he
What
said,
radio station is that, by the way?
CAP.
Oh, really?
WCAP, downtown Lowell.
You guys listen to that?
Yeah, I like Gary.
Do you really?
Yeah, Gary's a good friend of mine.
What time is he on?
He's on every minute of the day. He's the voice, but right now he's on 6, I think he's on till, 6 to 9 today.
Yeah, they might have 3 or 4
He might go
people.
to 10 today.
So he took
6 to 9 most days.
Nutter's place, right? Jerry's place.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So he's living it up, but on Friday he's out of gas.
What happened to Jerry? Do we know?
Jerry got a nice job with the City of Lowell School Department.
Oh, I remember reading about that in the paper. That's
So what
right.
does he do?
Yeah.
He's got a nice gig. He's enjoying himself, but I talked to him once after he changed positions. I haven't talked to him since. But I wish the guy nothing but good luck.
He does school things, but I'm pretty sure it's a city job he's got, though, not a school job.
So he works not for the school department.
But he's doing things to promote children, STEM, all that type of stuff.
Guy,
Well, it's an administrative job, yeah.
Texter's imagination says, imagine if the townhouses at Heinz's Tavern were up and running. That would be a disaster. What a disaster that would be. Well, I think the town, that proposed project, when they're probably having banking problems. Because we're going to build this gigantic place, but there's no parking. I think you might have some trouble getting some money for that.
Anyway, if anybody's just joining us, you're seeing pictures, live pictures, outside on Thorndike Street and Highland Street in Lowell where there's a water main break. When we drove in this morning, there were a lot of police at either end of Highland Street, which is where we're located, trying to keep traffic to a minimum.
We have a rooftop camera that can spin around, so you're looking at them. And the main is, Sam, you said it's right around here someplace?
Yeah, more to the left.
You think more, right?
Yeah,
Well, it'll be interesting, to have you, put up different photos as time goes on and see what people have to say about the
Everyone's saying,
confusion.
put you back on the screen, I got it, okay.
okay.
Put the camera back on me.
No, I think we've spent enough time on water main breaks. And there's a lot of them, and sometimes they're very impressive, because they'll shoot water 20, 30 feet in the air. You just don't want them coming up through any kind of the cover for the sewer covers, because that could be very dangerous. They could kill you. And that. So anyway, we didn't seem to talk too much about when I was bringing up some of the riots and demonstrations around the country. It sounds like they're trying to reproduce what happened with the BLM movement.
Well, it's summertime, and that's when these things escalate usually.
But they've noticed, because now there's a lot more drones, there's cameras, there's a lot more coverage, and they are noticing that, vans will pull up and there's
It's
dispersing.
organized. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yes, definitely
organized.
organized, because they're dispersing all kinds of things. They
Yeah.
noticed the different masks. So, and then there was gas masks, and they were given to the different demonstrators. New York City, it seemed, as when I was coming in this morning, that they have things a little bit more under control than LA. They basically said, let's not do this. But you
Yes.
have some of your major cities, and if they weren't sanctuary cities or sanctuary states.
you wouldn't have the problem.
You wouldn't have the problem, number one. Number two, if you had the cooperation where when you had someone that was not in this country legally, that had committed a crime and in the jail, and they turn them over to ICE, that would be the end of that part. Instead of turning them loose, which a lot of them, because cities have done. The mayors have said, well, you're not going to get them.
If the illegal alien has, as you say, if they've charged with a crime and they're already in prison, and the federal officers come in, then that's a very straightforward thing. They go to the jail and they get handed over. But if those people are not locked up the way they probably should be, then now they've got to go into the community and try to find these people, and that's where the problems begin, as opposed to, being able to just hand the person over if they're already in custody. What I don't understand, and I truly don't understand, and I'm going to say that, I'm not an expert in this area, obviously, but I don't understand the thought process behind sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, because to me, whether you agree or disagree with the immigration laws, it doesn't matter. As long as the law is on the books, it should be enforced. So if we have a law that says a person is, a foreigner is either in the country legally or illegally, if you're here illegally, you are subject to deportation. Now, you can argue about how that should be carried out, but you are subject to deportation. There isn't any discussion about that, in my opinion. You're either here in the country legally or you're not. If you're not, then you're subject to deportation. So what I don't understand about the sanctuary mentality is that people are here illegally, and the local government takes the position that we're not going to assist in any way in law enforcement. And I don't understand that. I just don't understand it. How can a legal entity like a local government or even a state government take the position that we should offer a safe harbor to people who are, in essence, violating the law? Now, I mean, you can argue, well, somebody's here illegally and they don't do anything wrong or they don't harm anybody. What's the harm? Okay, that's a separate discussion. All I'm saying is, the law is on the books. You're either here legally or you're not. If you are not, then you are subject to whatever the federal enforcement process is. It's just that simple. And I just don't understand people who say, well, we ought to support lawlessness. We ought to support the breaking of the law. If you don't like the law, then you lobby your Congress to change the law. Okay? I mean, that's the way the system is supposed to work.
But it moved at the, at the speed of government. I'm getting people texting me.
No, I
What's
understand.
Gorham Street look like? Gorham Street's,
Not too bad.
no, not bad. So,
No, the
Yeah,
traffic's moving.
Looks like it's, yeah. Well, people, I guess, to John's point, they're probably, at this point, they're getting the word now.
Go down and look at Dutton
Yeah.
Street on the way out,
So-
outbound. I bet you that's,
People are avoiding inbound Thorndike.
with the leaves on the trees, I can't see, we can't see.
That's right.
Like we could.
That's all right. I like those leaves.
I think they made a decision what they're gonna do with the Superior Court there.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? What are they
Nothing.
suggesting?
Nothing yet, huh? Well, I say you're gonna see housing in there.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, that would cost a lot
Well,
of money.
let's talk about the courthouse.
Yeah.
Haven't been in there, a tour of the place.
I always liked it.
Beautiful building.
It is. I like the building.
When it was built, a long time ago, people used to live here. They lived in the building.
In the courthouse?
Yeah, if you were in jury, you're on jury duty, the bedrooms were up here.
I didn't know that.
So when I took a tour of the place, I remember he's Dick Howe Jr. Okay, he's the one who gave me the tour.
Well, he would know. He's the
bedrooms
historian.
were up here, and some of the beds were still there. You know, the government does like to throw stuff away, but it hasn't been used in it like a bazillion years. But we walked around on this level here, and the problem is the ceilings on the second floor are 20, 30 feet high. So there's a lot of space to get in here, but I'll zoom in on the building.
Can you imagine trying to heat that building with 30-foot high ceilings? Oh, my God.
Oh, no problem. We have the money.
Yeah,
It's
well,
in
you
your
must
wallet.
have 8 boilers in the basement,
It's
right,
in your
Bob?
wallet.
Yeah, I think it's one of the
Now,
biggest.
these windows
Yeah.
right here, there's offices up here.
It is a nice building, though, architecturally, and even inside it's nice, I think.
Well, see, my rule of thumb is, if they can't find somebody to develop this building, tear it down. It's a nice building. Tear it down.
I'll tell you, if there's a movement to tear that building down, all the historical and architectural groups are gonna come out and they're gonna oppose that, and
Yeah, well,
can you see that happening?
If he shows you the backside
Yeah.
a little bit, if he goes back, you'll see a red building behind this
Okay.
Superior Court, and that has historic value with Daniel Webster, actually. And they can't tear the red building down.
Okay,
They could
Sam,
tear
you're the
this down.
smartest guy in the room. Tell us what year this is.
1, 2, 3, let's see, M is 1,000, D is 500, 15, C is 100, 16, 17, 18, so it's 1847. excuse me, 18, C is 100, 1897. 1897 is the Roman numeral.
And the sisters at St. Peter's Church, St.
Yep.
Peter's School used to tell us, what year is that? When we did our Roman numerals, we
Yep.
had to, that was a test.
Okay, I'll do it again. M is 1,000, D is 500, a C is 100. So you've
add
got
three.
1,500 and then three Cs, add three, that's 1,800. C is 100, the X before the C, you take 10 away from the 100, so that's 1890. V is 5, and the two ones are 1 and 2.
Seven.
So 1897,
And
that's
that's
how you
when
read it.
this building was built.
Yep.
Now, the building in the back that Bobby's talking to, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, the brick building.
That's the building they can't tear down.
That was-
Imagine trying to
Oh, they'll tear
multiply in
that,
Roman
that'll be
numerals.
gone too, Bobby.
I don't think so.
that'll be
According to Senator Kennedy, it won't be torn down.
What does he say? It's,
He says you can't tear the
Can't
red
tear it
building
down?
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't tear down St. Peter's Church either.
oh, I wouldn't want to tear that down, would you?
Well, it's gone.
Yeah.
So that red part of
Yes.
the,
This red part of the building, they put this up on telephone poles. It used to be on Gorham Street. They rolled it back to,
Now,
this is
that,
Linden Street, which is now
now,
one
that,
way.
was that added after the
No,
courthouse
that was
built?
first.
Oh, the red building was first?
Yes, the red building is
Oh.
older.
Okay.
That was
all
the
right.
original courthouse. and
I
they
got
just-
it. Oh, and then, so they added the other one. Okay.
And the people who worked in the courthouse when they were rolling it back. They stayed in the building, and they worked the courthouse as they rolled it back.
To me, it was one of the biggest mistakes we made when we took the registry of deeds out of this building, and put them into the new courthouse. But I think the same guy, Dick Howe Jr., had a lot to do with that, because the new courthouse is equipped to be a police station on the bottom floor. A great lockup compared to what we have in Lowell. They could have used that, but it's too late now. It's over.
Well,
But even-
there's jail cells in this too.
Yeah, but Karen Casella, the
Jail
new
cells in the cell in
Register
this
of
one.
Deeds, say she said it on the show. She wished she stayed there, but she's happy to be in the new courthouse now too. So
Well, of course, and they're right on the first floor.
Yes.
So when you get to the courthouse, the registry is right there.
Yeah.
You walk right in. Very convenient.
so apparently nobody wants to talk about what's going on in LA and around the country.
Well,
So we've
I'll talk
tried
about
that.
it.
Mind.
I tried,
Okay.
I've tried.
Go ahead,
let's see,
try it
this is
again.
45 minutes.
Go
What is
ahead,
that?
try it again.
Well, they're claiming, that sending in the National Guard is a grab of power, and yet there are laws that says it can happen. And if they took care of the issue to begin with, nobody would have had to have done that. You had certain agents, federal agents that were there that were being accosted, and local police were told to stand down by the mayor. And then you have other people saying that the police in LA were handling things quite well, except that you had the police chief say, we're overwhelmed and we need help. So you have a lot of differing pieces of information coming forward that, depending upon what political view you would like to support, you can believe.
Well, it's very, very clear if you listen to the discussion. First of all, I would prefer to listen to the police chief. And the fact is that the Los Angeles City Council asked the police chief to inform them whenever there was an impending ICE raid. And the chief told the city council, I can't do that, because if I did, I could be charged with obstruction of justice, and he's absolutely right, okay? So the fact that the city council would ask that question tells you where they are on the subject, okay? And to your point, the chief did come out and make a statement that the situation had gotten out of control, and I think you have to believe your eyes. If you watch the news footage, it is violent. Now, that's not to say that everybody that showed up to protest is taking part in the violence, but there are enough people causing the violence so that there's an issue that the local officers couldn't control it. Now, with regard to whether or not the president has the legal authority to deploy those troops, under normal circumstances, National Guard are under state control. So a governor of a state technically is the quote-unquote commander-in-chief of the state National Guard. National Guards are state militia under law. That's what they are. And the President of the United States cannot utilize National Guard troops unless he formally federalizes them. Okay, so there is a whole body of law that has to be followed before the President can invoke his power to federalize the National Guard in any state, over and above what the governor can do. Now, to me, the issue is if the National Guard troops are restricted to protecting federal assets, in other words, the ICE officers who are federal employees and/or federal property, the buildings, if they are restricted and cordoned to protecting those areas, then the president is within his legal right to do what he did. What the National Guard cannot do, they cannot act as law enforcement. When you put them on the street, they cannot function as police officers. They can't make arrests. They can't intervene in those
Even if
situations.
federalized?
Pardon?
Even if federalized?
Correct. They are not allowed to do that, okay? So, the issue, so again, to me, there's two issues. A, can the president do what he did? And B, what does the Guard do once they get there? And the answer is, he can do what he did under the existing laws as long as the Guard functions in that limited role of protecting federal assets, okay?
Right, but
Watching Channel 4 in Los Angeles yesterday. The commentator explained that they are protecting federal property.
Correct.
Properties.
The-
They are on federal properties.
Correct, and
If
that's...
they have an incident where they have to detain somebody, the Los Angeles police are called and they come and arrest that person.
Right.
And that's exactly what ought to be happening, okay? Because they do not have the power to act in a police capacity. So I think the governor of California and the mayor are not, they're not telling the truth. They're not
They're
being
just
straight with
Democrats.
people. Right,
They're doing the Democratic.
exactly.
To me, that's the issue. You
Yeah.
gotta get rid of that Mayor Bass, you gotta get
Oh, she's
rid
awful.
of Mayor Wu, you gotta get rid of our
She's
governor.
awful.
Barging in real quick, there was,
Yeah.
about 20
Vote
minutes
'em
ago, a plane crashed in India. 250 people died.
Ouch.
And the plane was taken off in India at the
Headed to London.
Ahmedabad airport and was bound for London.
So it was an Air India aircraft?
Yes.
John-
Okay.
Yeah. and
Moses is here, we're gonna go let him in.
All
Yeah,
right.
and that was on the news before I got here, when I turned it on, so.
18 minutes ago.
That's
Well,
not
that's
good.
what that is 18 minutes, but before I got here, they were talking about the fact that it was a
Ugh.
crash. But they didn't have all the details. But as we take a look at what's going on with all of and they are riots, and they are throwing Molotov
No,
cocktails.
there's no question about it.
And they are getting people who, arresting, and it's not the National Guard arresting, it's the
They
police,
can't.
LA Police
They
Department.
can't, they're not allowed to.
And they have a lot of people that are there basically saying that the whole Southwest belongs to Mexico and all of the other stuff that happens with regard to that. And it's like, you have people waving those Mexican flags and people standing up and saying, this is my
Well-
country, this is that. My sister, I think it was my sister that had a wonderful suggestion. Put a wire fence on the California border and keep them all over there.
Well,
My
that's not-
thing is just let them all go over there and then just ask Mexico if they want California back. We'll
That's not
save,
gonna-
$62 million in aid?
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
I believe, I worked in Boston for almost 3 years driving Uber, Sam, and Chinese have bought up a lot of property in this country. They bought up a lot of buildings in Boston.
Yep.
They bought land all over our country, and I think that it's all about the buck.
It
China-
usually is.
Well, a lot of people
China
are being
does
paid
not
to do
want to
this.
live without
Follow the
us.
money.
If it wasn't for us, China would be nothing, I believe. I think we buy all their products.
Well, there's a lot of pieces to that too, because they're
Yeah,
also, they've bought up the farmland that's around all the military installations. Not
Yeah,
all of them.
everybody wants a piece of the U.S. market. There's no question about that, so.
Well, I think they'd like all of it. But, part of the discussion that I heard this morning was about how, because their mentality is very different than the American mentality. And that's been known for a long time, because they think differently.
Well,
Many
they-
different areas
Yeah.
of the world do. And they're willing to slowly, they've been at it for decades.
The Asians are long-term thinkers.
Yes, and Americans are not.
And
I mean,
we're
some of us are
short-term
long,
thinkers,
well,
right.
some of us are long-term thinkers, but I mean, they,
Yeah. Mostly we're short-term thinkers.
absolutely, or if I can't get it yesterday,
Right.
I'm not happy about it. And gratification has to happen instantly rather than waiting for a while, but that's just the way society has developed. It wasn't always like that.
Text not coming through that I can put them on the computer today. So, let me just read what I got. Why is this thing giving me, okay, I'll do this.
So people are
Which
watching,
is-
are they? They're texting
Yeah.
you? Okay.
So, it says, most of the old, dusty, outdated buildings in downtown areas should be knocked down, full of asbestos and not handicap accessible.
Yeah, asbestos, that's a problem.
Turn the page on historical garbage. Let's call it what it is. This is an insurrection on the streets of the country. All the January 6th nuts must be upset about what's happening. Those are all the texts I got
Right, I'm
so
not
far.
going into that conversation, but it is interesting to see how the different cities and the leadership in those different cities and states are dealing with the issues that are currently out there. And I'm trying to think of what the other thing was that I was trying to, I had
Folks,
said-
this may be a first. Evelyn, is it a loss for words?
While you're thinking, if you know somebody who works at Lowell
Right.
and comes in Thorndike Street, you should call their cell phone and tell them find another way. Because I'm going to zoom this camera in so
Yeah.
you can see what's
Yeah.
going. But the traffic
We-
is just
we-
getting worse and worse and
Well,
worse.
during the break, I'll go out and I'll see if I can get a status on the water situation.
interview.
Yeah, well, I'll walk down the street and ask them what's going on.
We have portable, too bad we didn't have the portable camera with the microphone.
they-
Hi, we're on.
Use your cell
Sam will
phone.
do FaceTime back to us.
Yeah.
Well, you just showed the cars on Highland Street. They're diverting them toward Gorham Street, so Gorham Street was just moving fine. Go back to Gorham Street now, see how fine that's moving.
I'll do that in a second. This is
Yeah.
the old Creek Academy building's right here. The Thorndike Factory Outlet is over here. Just to give you an orientation for where this is. You
What's
can
that blue thing? It looks like an elevator
They're
shaft.
going to put it out.
Is that what it is?
This company, it's called Thorndike Exchange,
Yeah.
was developed by the Chenfetier Sal Lapoli.
Sal Lapoli,
He
right.
sold it, and the new owners are putting an elevator.
Okay, that's what it looks like.
If
Yep.
you go into your Wayback Machine, you remember there used to be a chimney here that was struck
Yep.
by lightning
Yep.
and was split in half, and they tore that down.
I'll tell you, that's elevators, oh boy, that's an expensive thing to do, adding
I
elevators.
love when people say you can't
$1,000,000.
renovate, you can't renovate these old brick buildings.
Sure you
Well,
can.
go in that building. Go
Sure
see
you
what
can.
it is
As
now.
as long as it's structurally sound, you're okay.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of things
Did
they
an
did. They
awesome
took,
job in that.
yeah, they
building.
took my elementary school.
At the bottom of the
And
screen, you can
create condos
see
out of
what they're
that.
doing
It's
now is they
gorgeous.
got the saws and they're cutting up the hot top.
Yeah,
I'll zoom in here.
there you go. So, is
Isn't
this,
technology wonderful, huh?
is this affecting your water here, John?
I had water this morning,
Yeah.
but now these guys are going down and they're going to shut off water.
I hope so. Otherwise, they won't be able to replace the pipe.
And
Yeah.
but they're on it.
They get more and more
The
workers.
city of Lowell has so much money that they hire people from outside the water department to fix
Oh.
water main breaks.
Maybe they're hiring Chelmsford people. That would be good.
Yeah, they probably hire the Chelmsford Water Department. You guys have silver trucks?
We have 3 water departments. What are you talking? We got plenty of water departments. We could probably spare a couple of people, right?
So
Well,
that's
at
what-
least in trying to figure out how to reduce some, potentially,
see,
reduce some of the cost of water in Chelmsford, they're going to have hopefully some kind of a discussion to see if not to consolidate for the town to run it, but consolidate for it to be privately run, because right now they feel as though there's a lot of efficiencies that could happen.
No question
And
about
there's
it.
duplication of efforts, and they think that efficiency will help as far as
all
the
these guys
cost for
taking a
water.
left are breaking the law. You
Yes, they
can't
are.
You can't get down South Street this time of day.
Well, unless the cop tells you can, right?
Well,
Maybe- is there
He's not stopping them.
well, I don't know. Is that just an empty cruiser?
I'm going to guess.
No.
No, he's in there. I'm going to guess
Okay.
they're going to let him go down South Street
Yeah.
until 8. 8 o'clock, they're going to shut off South
Yeah,
Street.
they're
Because
obviously.
all the school buses and the moms and the grandmoms dropping off the kids at the Rogers School.
Yeah,
'Cause they
because
got like 1,000
they-
kids over
because it's a detour. That's what they're doing. They're detouring the vehicles around there, so.
there. But
Anyway,
inbound on
so-
Thorndike Street, let's take a quick peek.
We're getting
bad.
close to 7.
Not bad. Not bad. Now it's stuck on twirling around. Uh-oh. Hit the wrong button. Inbound on Gorham is not bad.
No?
So back over to you, Evelyn. Time is short.
That's true. And we're going to take a break shortly, but there were a few things that I wanted to talk about. We never did get around to doing that because we've been talking about the water main break, pretty much just outside this location where we're filming. One of the things that I was going to bring up was a 175-year-old farm in New Jersey that the township wants to take by eminent domain because they want to put affordable housing on that location. And it's an interesting read as far as whether or not legally they can do that,
Yes, they can.
because it's in the middle of an industrial complex.
They just
long
had a
as-
final tour of Concord Prison, Sam.
Yeah.
They're gonna make that all housing. How's
Yeah, we
Concord gonna
figured it.
like that?
Especially on the Rotary.
The
So that
Concordians
was
are
one.
going to fight that tooth and nail.
That was one
And it's
thing.
going to put our state rep in a very interesting position.
You're off mic,
Well,
buddy.
I'm going to see how Simon handles that.
Right.
Because
And then
that's going to be, he's conflicted.
The
on
other
that
thing
one.
is that Massachusetts has put into effect, from my understanding, reading the article, a law that says that if you have a vehicle that does not currently have LED headlights, you cannot put them in. If you have a vehicle that comes with LED headlights, that's something different. And the reason is because they're so bright that they're causing issues with driving.
There's a couple of other states that have either have done
So you
or are
can't retrofit.
are
You
going
also
to do
sent
that.
us something about
Right.
how much mileage we can drive. You sent something to me like that.
Yes, I think that was last week, and it had to do with they're trying to figure out how to limit people from driving in the state of Massachusetts.
And also collect revenue for electric cars. That's the other thing, because they're not paying gas tax.
Well, there's a lot of pieces. I
Okay.
will be helping the town of Chelmsford as of Monday when
And
I take,
as an assessor, we appreciate your help.
You're off mic.
because we don't have a mic?
No, Sam keeps turning away from
I'm
the mic.
sorry.
Oh, all right,
Go
because I bought a new vehicle. So we figured that after owning a car for 17 years with 267,000 miles on it, that it was about time that I got a new vehicle. And so we bought another Honda Odyssey yesterday. This time it's red.
Red.
This bright red.
They'll see
So we're
you
going
come-
back to red. My Windstar, my 1995
That was
Windstar
red.
was red.
Yep, that was red.
And everybody thought that the fire department gave it to me at the time, part of smear campaigns in Chelmsford. But we'll talk about that another day. So we will
So wait a
return
minute,
shortly.
because your vehicle was red, they thought the fire department gave it to you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
People
yeah.
were able to believe almost anything.
Absolutely, people are crazy. What are you going to do?
Okay, so a guy by the name of Januario Leal created this video.
Who?
Januario Leal.
Oh, okay.
This is on YouTube, and this is the Portuguese parade in, that was I think it was over the weekend, and
Where?
right in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit play here. I'll turn the sound up in a second. But this is the Blues Club. The Portuguese American Club is right here. And they're going to march up Central Street. And
Are they,
there had to be 1,000 people at this parade.
are they veterans?
I didn't ask.
They look like they might be veterans.
I didn't ask. But
Okay.
lovely time. And I'm going to turn the sound up on this. Where's the sound?
Looks like they're heading downtown, John.
Yeah.
Yep, they go right down to City Hall. Gigantic crowd. So let me shut the music off. Okay.
There you go.
Wrong button. Come on, baby. All right. So we'll leave this up there on the break. We'll be back. Thanks.
invernal, orgulho da nossa gente, a equipa nacional. Quero ver nossa bandeira erguida lá no ar, a vitória é primeira, o nosso povo vai lutar.
All right, this feels almost illegal to know, but our windows were so old and just desperately needed to be replaced. So I called.
God.
Oh my God, look at that. Hold on.
You're fine. Welcome back. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host until 8 o'clock.
It's fine.
Too many jokes here, but
That's all right.
at least you know we all have a good time while we're sitting here. My guest, John Moses.
Hello.
This morning, and we'll find out what he's up to. I do have some education questions.
Yeah.
And we have Sam Chase and Bob Hoey as our co-hosts, so we'll see if we get into any livelier discussions, possibly than is necessary.
Don't forget the announcements.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I got an alarm set for that same.
Okay, all right.
I got to see what's for lunch today down at the old folks' home. So
There you go.
So I
Yeah,
get food.
Bob's favorite restaurant.
Actually, you can go to the Chestnut Senior Center. They'll let you.
Yeah, they will.
you could do.
Premium, though.
Yeah, you could do Chelmsford. You remember we had bets and you lost, and so somewhere along the line, one of these days, we have to do one of those lunches for $2.50.
Lowell's $2.50. I think Chelmsford's more dough.
I don't know.
It's a more affluent town. We charge $3.25.
Right, there you go.
But there's a lot more people from outside of Chelmsford that attended.
Well, any
than
Tom,
people-
Dick, and Mary can go. You can be from Timbuktu.
The
You just have to
Chelmsford,
be
yeah.
a certain age. But Chelmsford doesn't care about your age.
Right, and then you have Table of Plenty that's on Tuesday evenings, and
And the
they use
Veterans
the
Breakfast,
Chelmsford Senior
yes,
Center.
the veterans.
So you have that. There's a lot of different events that's out there,
good.
but this,
Food's
we can
good.
talk about that during
Well, I just do the
announcements.
daily lunches.
But we'll figure that one out shortly. Anyway, so John Moses is on the Chelmsford School Committee, and he got reelected this spring, along with Maria Santos.
Three
There's a
more years
lot-
of penance, right?
3 more years of penance.
Well, anyway, I never really looked at it as that. I
I don't
looked at it as a mission.
Yeah.
And
It was so
I
bad that
achieved
when
it.
I interviewed John, he forgot how many terms he'd served.
Yeah, it's
He
true.
had to remember, he had to stop and think about it for a minute. Yeah.
So there have been different articles that are out there as far as trying to figure out what measurement that Massachusetts will have for its high school seniors to graduate. Where we had the vote that they think they got rid of MCAS, they really didn't, but it won't be a requirement. Part of the information in the article was that they felt as though it targeted those that were in low-income groups or certain ethnic backgrounds that would be challenged as a result of taking the test to try to graduate from high school. So they were very much concerned about that. But now other people are now concerned that they're going to lower the standards. Has the Chelmsford School Committee had any discussion relative to this topic, or do you know of any of your fellow colleagues that had gone to the conference down the Cape, if there was any discussion down there as a result of this action?
No, I don't think. Well, first, I mean, I support it. I think it was good to take the requirement for graduation away. I don't know about lowering standards. Our school standards in Chelmsford are really high. That kind of is attested through scores and where our kids graduate and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. We haven't had a long discussion about what we're going to be doing with the MCAS. I mean, a lot of that's going to come down from DESE. But we do know that they're working around the new requirements. I know that Linda's been working on it to make sure that all the teachers are in line with the new changes. But the only change really is that they don't need the MCAS to graduate. And I know a lot of examples of people that especially like immigrants that come in, they may not be able to pass an MCAS for English, right, by their senior year. So they have to keep trying. And I think that's a lot of the pushback on the MCAS was like, if you have a new English learner, like how are they going to pass
Yeah.
an English MCAS? Especially if they've just come here. So I didn't have any strong feelings on it. I've never had a strong feeling on MCAS. I've always been standardized tests in school. So no, I guess the answer to your question is no, we haven't had a long discussion about it. But generally, I support it, and I don't think it's lowering standards. I mean, we have kids leaving high school now with almost a college degree. So I definitely don't think we're losing standards, lowering standards.
So the fact that they've taken the graduation requirements away as a component of NCAS, but we still have MCAS. The fact that we've now are saying we don't need it to graduate, has that altered the way the material is presented? In other words, you still have to take the MCAS test. So we still have to, the teaching, the curriculum has to be oriented towards that, but has the fact that we've removed this graduation standard, has that changed in any way that the material is taught?
Not that I'm aware. Again, I'm not in a classroom every day. So I know Linda has worked with her teachers to make sure that they understand it, worked with the curriculum to make sure everybody understands the changes. But for me, so I'm a parent, and like MCAS changed, and absolutely nothing changed for me.
Okay,
So-
that would be my,
Yeah, like-
that would be my understanding of
Yeah.
it. Right, okay.
And so for my kids, the only thing they barely mention it. They would like, oh, something changed with MCAS. But for them, it's just another test, right? They're not thinking about
I
graduation.
won't tell you what the kids call it.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you. Off camera.
Yeah.
But MCAS, I mean, there's pros and cons with regard to that. At first, I was definitely in favor of it, but they expanded it, which meant that pretty much kids were taking tests all through their education, elementary
Yeah.
and high school, almost like a test a year, and then you had subject matter. And when you have all of those different standardized tests, you don't have a chance to get into some other creative things that you could be doing in your curriculum. So, my opinion is kind of, it has fluctuated with regard to
How
how
things
things
change.
have been
Yeah.
implemented and instituted in the state of Massachusetts. And yes, we do have very high standards. I don't think we were going to decrease the standards. And years ago, every school system had different graduation requirements before MCAS. So you had that range of topics, subject matter, academics, that you had to pass those courses to graduate from high school. Just as an example, which definitely does date me. Back in the 60s and early 70s, one of the requirements in the state to graduate is you had to have so many years of English, you had to have so many years of history, and you had to take U.S. history.
Yeah, 1 year was the requirement.
Right.
At
and
the high
then-
school level.
Yep, and then you had so many years or different topics in terms of the math and science. And you had choices in science. You didn't have to take biology, physics, and chemistry. I think it was 2 out of the 3, but I'm going extremely way back. But the interesting part is that my sister didn't like school. So what she did her senior year was she went to Eastern Nazarene College. She took their history course, and whatever English course that she took, then she transferred those credits over to Quincy High School.
Yeah.
And she was able to graduate, but she had put in the first year of
Evelyn, we're going to
college.
get you a medallion for the car. Chenford Police Chief, I think that's going to suit you well.
No, fire chief, it's
Fire
right.
chief, fire chief.
Fire Chief, okay.
Yeah, blue, if it was navy blue or blue, it would have been the police. I'm not into blue cars. I've always had, a car that had a little bit more bright color to it, except the one I currently have. So
What's going on with this thing here?
Well, Navigation Brewery is in the center of Chelmsford, and for the second time, they had Cousins Maine Lobster come as a food truck because they do not serve food, they serve beer.
a good
Beer
sized
from local
vehicle.
breweries. And so you have, that's their truck. I thought it would be interesting for people to see it in case you see it somewhere else. That was on the sidewalk out in the center of Chelmsford. And Shark Tank had supported them in their venture, and there you have it. They had a very good lobster roll. Everybody has personal preference on what they like.
How much was the lobster roll?
think it was about $30.
$30.
Yeah, which is pretty much the going rate, or maybe it was 34.
This was in town center, they had the truck?
Yeah.
Yes, and this is in the back.
The mayonnaise is critical.
Yeah, you got to get the mayo right.
So
Yes,
whatever.
but I don't do mayonnaise.
Whatever flavor, I mean, the debate is between Hellman's and Cane's, okay? And
Ev, when do you
it
take
makes-
possession of
Kewpie,
this?
mayo,
It
huh?
makes a
Monday.
big difference.
It does.
Monday?
Yeah, because we're really busy over the weekend. And we have to transfer the plates. I have a vanity plate on my Honda Odyssey.
You have your insurance company do it.
No, I know that, but I gotta take the plates off and I gotta hand them over to the dealership.
Yeah.
Because they said if you're transferring the plate, they have to be in possession of those plates for 24 hours. So today,
So who's transfer? Is the dealership going to transfer it?
yeah,
Or-
they have a registry in the building.
All the big dealers
Yeah.
do it now.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
all-
yeah.
they all
And
have
it used
that.
to be Block, and it's now New Car. One of the things
New
with.
car.
Yeah,
Oh, Bach doesn't own that?
And
I don't
you.
know, I
Oh.
didn't look at all the details up because this only happened
So
last night.
how did you find this puppy?
Glenn went online. I think he went to Edmunds and asked questions, and within 30 seconds, this particular dealership called him. He had 4 or 5 phone calls
it's
within 2
unbelievable.
minutes.
It's just unbelievable.
But I wanted red. I happen to like it. It does remind me of the conversation when my father was
all-wheel
living.
drive?
I never asked. I'm hoping it's only front wheel because I didn't want all wheel. I think that the Honda Odyssey only comes with front wheel drive. There's some interesting features to this vehicle if we want to talk about cars.
Go ahead, it's your car. Brag. No, next week, we'll have brag time.
Oh, okay. We can
About the
talk
new-
more about it. I can take
about-
some
'Cause
pictures
you'll
of
have
the
it,
interior.
and we
Yeah,
can
because
look at it.
you'll be able to see it
John Moses here,
outside.
we'll keep
Yeah, we don't
peppering
want to talk
Moses.
about the,
But as far
Moses'
as
issues.
vehicle goes, I will help the town of Chelmsford with excise tax.
and we thank you for that.
Because,
Let's give the government more money. Yeah.
well, at least it comes back
Don't they
local.
print it?
At least it comes back local. So,
Chelmsford does not print money, John.
I wish
The
we
government
could.
prints money.
No.
oh, but, Sam, when Charlotte was at Byam School, didn't one of the kids or one of the teachers talk about what the
No, it was Violet.
Goal?
It was Violet.
Okay.
So in the third grade, in the Chelmsford schools, and John, I'm sure you know this, in the third grade, they have a unit on local history, and they talk about the town government and how it's organized and so forth. So that's part of the third grade curriculum. And for the last 4 years, I've gone into the Byam school, and I've talked to the third grade about Chelmsford government and the people and what they do and so forth. And the kids are always very engaged. So anyway, Violet, when she was in the third grade, this is one of my grandchildren, she came home and they had been studying local government, not Chelmsford specifically, but just local government. So she had this worksheet, and it had all these things on there that said what happens in local government and who does what. So on the sheet, it said, the town manager prints money. And so I looked at that, and I was trying to explain to my granddaughter, who was in third grade, and, hey, if the teacher tells you the town manager prints money, he prints money. You know
That's
how-
right,
how
yeah.
third graders think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I
So-
don't know, my teacher
yeah,
said this.
Exactly. So, and here it is, right?
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we finally convinced her that he didn't, okay? But I thought to myself, well, now this is interesting. So I took a picture of the flyer, and I texted it to Paul Cohen, who's our town manager, and I said, all right, Paul, I said, I don't ever want to hear another word out of you about budgetary problems. I
Yes.
said, now that I know you have the ability to print money.
Yeah, according to the Byam.
Right. He came back and he said, can you get me a copy of that? I said, well, I've texted it to you, but yeah. So and there were other things on there that were also incorrect. So I was a little concerned, so I decided that what I would do is talk to the principal of the high school. I didn't want to get anybody into trouble. But I think what probably happened was the teacher was putting the thing together, and I think she just did some cutting and pasting and probably it was a little off there. So anyway, I did talk to the high school, to the school principal, and I said, maybe you probably want to look into this. But the town manager cannot print money, folks.
I love sitting here with people from Chelmsford and we start talking about schools. I'm running for the schools in Lowell at large again.
Again?
Yeah, again. And the difference between us and Chelmsford is, you were talking third grade. Right now in the third grade, we probably have a few thousand children that can't even read at a first grade level. And what do we do in Lowell? Send them to the fourth grade. And another big problem that we have that Chelmsford doesn't have, I think it's a great idea, you separate your fifth and sixth from your seventh and eighth grade.
Yes.
That's something that they tell me cannot happen in Lowell, Mr.
Why?
Hoey. I'd like to know why. But the biggest thing Chelmsford's got, look at how long you can hold on to a superintendent. I did 7 years on the school committee and I worked for 4 different superintendents.
That's not
That's
good.
maybe our biggest issue in Lowell.
Well, you get a good one, that's all.
But actually, when I think about it, the biggest 2 issues in Lowell is definitely special ed. We need to go right through that whole program, dollar for dollar, and check that out. But I think maintenance of effort, Sam, something you'd be great at. It's the $50 million the city charges the schools. Basically, they take that out of school money for renting their schools, the 29 schools that we
We
can't
don't do that.
maintain. So we have a lot of big
We're not-
issues in Lowell.
We're not structured.
No, I
Yeah,
know that.
yeah,
I know it's a
yeah.
totally different place, but I love sitting and listening to
But
Chelmsford.
I'll tell you, and Evelyn can certainly is probably more knowledgeable than I am, but I remember at the time, at one point in time, the schools had their own maintenance
Yeah, that
function
was-
and department,
Yep.
and then the town took that over. And but it has worked very, very well. And one of the reasons it worked well from the beginning is because the fellow that was in charge of the maintenance at the school department, the town decided to hire him to run the maintenance department. So that gave the school department confidence
Yeah.
that their issues would be addressed, and they were,
They
okay?
were.
And it's worked very well, and I can tell you, because I watched it for the first 3 years, when those 2 groups were put together and so forth, it has saved the town a lot of money, having that function combined. So in Chelmsford, it's worked well, but to your point about the superintendent, I think the key is you get the right people in the job, okay? And you, hopefully, your school committee and your select board are not just so overwhelmingly politically driven that it causes problems. And I think part of the problem you have in Lowell is the politics, and people on your school committee and maybe even some of your city councilors, they're more interested in the politics and, what can we do for our friends, and that kind of thing. All right, we don't have that so much in Chelmsford, and I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we have a good group in Chelmsford. I think all the people there want to be there for the right reasons.
Right.
I think, like you said, they're just different school systems, right? And when you talk
Right.
about like superintendents, Dr. Lang's going to retire out of Chelmsford.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so Sal Lupoli and the rest of that committee comes in, and they work with Jay. They get Jay on board. And so last year or 2 years ago, when I was on the superintendent's contract, and we clearly stated we want you to retire here, and he said I want to retire here, and we built a contract that did that. So
Six-year deal, wasn't it?
It's a 6-year deal.
Yeah.
Plus, he'll probably have to extend one. He wants to
Yeah.
stay at least through the school building. But I mean, that kind of longevity is not really common with superintendents, right?
No.
And so, not only do you get the superintendent and his administrative skills and the financial stuff that he's learned over the years, you also get a superintendent that's very senior in the state and has a lot of access to the superintendent groups. He's got
Yes.
access to politicians. He's got access to policy groups. So
Good point.
you really have this one of the most experienced and most respected superintendents in the state just working right down the street. And
And you guys let them slip right through
Through your
your fingers.
fingers,
No,
right.
they
What's the
didn't-
matter with you?
they
Sal
didn't-
Lupoli's pretty tricky, though.
He is?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that there's
Yes,
a variety of information that you may not be privy to.
I love it.
Because a lot of stuff was not always made public. I had members of the Chelmsford, of the Lowell School Committee, this is prior to Sal getting involved in any of it, call me because they wanted him to be your superintendent in Lowell. And when that fell flat,
They weren't the majority, though, were they?
no.
Yeah.
And I had calls and said, you're looking for superintendent, Evelyn, make sure you get, you offer him a job. And I said, okay, and I had a lot of conversation with regard to, the skills and what it was that they saw and why they wanted him and all that other stuff, which did affect my particular vote as far as that. And it was definitely a team effort on the school committee that did that. It wasn't just one person.
Was
even
it a
though one
unanimous
person
vote?
Yes.
Okay, so, all right.
And then we had to
That's
do
good.
a contract. Again, the way that school committees work for contracts for superintendents or teachers or anything other than that is that you don't have one person that's making the decisions. You have however many people are on your committee. We had five. 5 people make that decision, and
But
5
don't you have a
people
lead
had-
person that kind of takes the lead on the
It depends
committee?
on what, it's usually the chair.
Yeah.
If the chair doesn't want it, the chair makes the appointment. The chair takes and says, look, I'd like you to go and do that, and that's exactly what Al did at that time, and that's what Sal did. But there has to be discussion, there has to be votes, and I'll share some other stuff with you maybe later. But it was a very interesting, I would say, and I'm using that term loosely because my psych professor said when you can't think of another word, use interesting. And it holds true today. We were able to get Jay, it was a good thing. And then my contacts on the Lowell School Committee at the time were very happy that Jay got the job.
Well,
So,
he's done a wonderful job.
yeah, so I knew a lot of people too.
You know, in Lowell, we had Dr. Sapasaris the first time I got elected, and he had longevity on the school committee because he was the hardest working man. I gave him a motion I put on the board to give him a 3-year contract extension right in a school committee meeting, and it passed. Next comes in a Chelmsford resident, Dr. Kafawi. The reason why they got rid of him is, number one, they couldn't say his name. Took me 6 months to learn how to say his name.
They couldn't
A great-
control him.
a
Dr. K.
Listen, a great
Yeah.
gentleman
They couldn't
came in
control him.
here and talked about 2 issues that
Yeah.
basically cut his head right off. He talked about a racial issue that they had at Boston Latin, and we had one in Lowell. Text messages sent out to people, about black issues, and it was nasty. And I'd like to see how much money we paid for that. But Dr. Kafawi made that go away in a week. And he talked about the maintenance of effort. Once he talked about that, I said, you're gone. I told him, you're gone. Because he's talking to the city about the $50 million they charge us. They got rid of him over a budget issue, which low budgets, you could always find some problems with our budget, Sam. And then Joe Boyd come in, it was all about DEI.
He didn't last long.
No, he came from Boston and brought all DEI stuff. Another good guy. He was a good guy, but he brought in all DEI stuff, and it sent him out of here. And then the next one was Bill Samaras as the mayor. They got rid of Dr. Kafawi to put a friend of theirs in as a superintendent. I won't say her name, but that's what happens, and it's terrible. It's terrible. And hopefully things change, because we need some change in Lowell. Even on the city council, we need change. We need some change. People have been around too long. Sometimes you gotta go. That's all I look at.
There are people that are still working in downtown Lowell that were there when my dad worked in the city in the maintenance department years and years ago. So some of those people are still there. They're still going to meetings, and they were probably in their 30s.
People that your father worked with?
Yeah, like there's still. I mean, like Rita Mercier still there. There's a lot of people that stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't follow Lowell politics. I remember when I was in Lowell that politics seemed really big there. I mean, considering Chelmsford, right, how small it is. But Lowell politics seemed so big and so hard to get into. If I lived in Lowell, I would have run for office. I would have probably been on the school committee there too, though.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
when you only get 8%, 9% of the
Yeah.
people to come out
Right.
and vote.
We
They
had like
just don't come out and
13%.
vote.
We had
Yeah.
high turnout last time, I think.
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Relatively
They got
speaking.
a great town. I mean, who wouldn't want to bring their children to that school system?
Yeah.
Do you have school choice there, by the way?
Yes.
If there's an open seat?
Yes.
Yeah.
It depends on where the open seats are.
Yeah.
But when I got on the school committee in '98, and for quite a few years, we never voted for any kind of school choice.
That was a big issue. back then.
Because there was no space.
Yeah, right.
We were overcrowded. That's why we started in '98 to take a look at all of our buildings to see what could we do, what could we add to. We started with the portable classrooms. Then they proposed, a new high school. Then they proposed something else. I mean, one thing after another, and we ended up with what we currently have, and we're working on something else.
It's Evelyn's favorite time of the show.
Oh boy, let's go.
Commercial time.
Actually, you're past due. Go.
I'm going to
Announcements.
shut your mics off So your mics are off over there. If you talk really loud, the audience can still hear you, but if you want an announcement on City Life, real easy thing to do is just send me a text. That's my cell phone number. Happy to do it for you. Now, this is why John Moses got up early, because he wanted to know what they're having for lunch today at the senior center. It's coming. That's okay. This one first. Every Friday through October, they're going to have a farmer's market at Lowell. Fresh vegetables, games and stuff for the kids. And it's on 350A Dutton Street. Little tricky, so you get down Dutton Street as if you're heading to Lowell City Hall. And at Broadway Street, you take a right. Go over that bridge, and immediately on the left-hand side, that's where the farmer's market's going to be. Every single Friday, starting at 2 right to 6 p.m., fresh vegetables. So consider checking that out. Okay, so today is June 12th. The senior center has lunch 7 days a week in Lowell. So if you're hungry on a Saturday or Sunday, come on by. The only rule is you got to be 60 or older. 60, and it's $2 for lunch. Great bargain. If you don't have the $2, well, we'll give it to you for free. So beef stews today over rice. And there's the menu for the rest of the month. Now, the Chesfortiers, they're trying to compete with us. I got to hit the minus button here. This is for John Moses because he likes, they take any age out there. You don't have to be 60.
Oh, look how much better Chester is.
That one's just got blue in the field. Well, today's the 11th. They have barbecue chicken, rice, broccoli. No, that's yesterday. That's yesterday. Forget that. That's gone. Today, oh, look at that. Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Mashed potato. Oh, wait a second. Get back there, baby. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, corn. That's a delicious, delicious lunch. And it's $2.50. But I don't know if you don't have the $2.50 if you can eat for free. I don't know that, but the important thing for Moses to understand is this. Let me just plus this up a little bit. I don't know why it's not getting bigger. Okay, I'm going to scroll this up. Under 60, you just pay $4.50, John. Oh, it's still not on your screen yet. Sorry. See right here, under 60?
I love it.
$4.50. So you can get that nice meal today. Pretty good stuff. Okay, so if you have a friend of yours or you need some prayers said, count on the Poor Clare nuns to say a prayer for you. That's the phone number. Take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this screen, and call them. If they don't answer the phone, just leave them a voicemail, and they'll pray for whoever you ask for prayers for. And they're very, very effective prayers. So consider the Monastery of St. Clair out in Andover if you need prayers. A signing party, and this is tomorrow. The future of Lowell Public Schools, Danielle McFadden, Lowell School Committee candidate at large, she's having a signing party Friday, June 13th, 4:30 to 8 p.m. at the Sweet Bar, 500 Pawtucket Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. Come and sign her papers. There'll be other candidates there looking to get their papers signed as well. Everyone's having a breakdown over there. Now, if you like a nice lunch, this place called Fitzy's. It's on Lawrence Street in Lowell. They're going to have lunch until 2 o'clock. That's a new thing they're doing. Breakfast is served all days. And closed Sunday. I go over there on Sundays. Maybe that's just for summer. I'll find out more. Okay, so if you like Greek food, you're in luck this weekend. Starting June 13th, that's this Friday, 4 to 9 p.m., head over to the Gold Dome Church and 41 Broadway Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. Free parking is available at 62 Lewis Street. They're going to have the Greek Festival, and starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday, 4 to 9, Saturday, you can see on your screen there. So take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this slide, and then go and enjoy some Greek food this weekend over at the Holy Trinity Church Greek Festival. School's going to be ending next week for a lot of the public schools. Some of the private schools, I know Immaculate, I think the Immaculate is done today. They're going to have a mass. Then they're going home. That's the rumor I'm hearing because Nana tells me she's going to go to the mass. So today's the last day for Immaculate. Okay, Francisco Maldonado. He's having a signing party too. Wednesday, June 18th, 5:30 to 9 p.m. at Mount Pleasant. You're invited to go up and sign Francisco Maldonado's papers. and a good guy. And when you sign papers, you're not saying, I support the guy. You're just saying, I think this guy should run for office. It's a good indicator that you support the guy, but it just, when somebody asks you to sign papers, it just means you think they should run for office. Okay, Sidney Lang, he's running for office too, and he's having a party on Friday, June 20th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Club Past Temps, 317 Moody Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. And take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this slide if you want more information about Sidney. Good guy, and he's having a party, again, June 20th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., 7:30 at the Club Past Temps. And no, I'm not done yet. Where is Kim Scott's party? Close these windows. Okay. Kim Scott, she had her party last night. When I went by the first time, there was no place to park. So I went by like a half an hour later, and I found a parking spot, went inside, and it was at Cavaliero's, which is on Lawrence Street. Best steakhouse around. Oh my God, I love this steak, good stuff. But these are some of the treats they had, and I'm going to go through these pictures quick. Evelyn's pulling her hair out over there. There I am walking through the crowd. Linda Clark put these pictures up, and there's Her Highness herself. That's Kim Scott giving her speech. And good crowd. There's Mike Conway. There's Johnny Dakota. That's, I think that's Corey Robinson right there. But she had a really good crowd. There's Sakari Chow. This is Cisco Maldonado. That looks to be Dan Finn right there. And there's Kim having a good time. There's John Dakota. Kim's still doing her speech. I think that's it. No, there's Rita Mercier.
There she is, the one and only.
Yep. There she is. And that's all the slides. So Evelyn, I'm going to go back to you, putting your mics on. Here you go, kid. Thank you for your patience.
Well, welcome back to City Life. That didn't take that long. Anyway, there's a lot of different topics that we can actually discuss, but, we talked a lot about education, and of course, we can always talk about education and different things going on there. I don't know if there's any initiatives or anything new coming up with you. I'll just end by asking whether or not there's that question, and also about signing contracts with the status.
Yeah, absolutely. So two things. I think the most important thing and the most exciting thing is always for us, there was a high school graduation this year. There is every year. God forbid the year that we don't have one. But we had a high school graduation just last week, which was amazing. We got to see all the kids, the students of this year graduate, and we actually even had, we'll talk a little bit about the nonprofit work, but even 2 Afghan kids graduated from high school, and those particular kids, their senior year, decided to do an internship. So outside of just the regular education paths you have at Chelmsford to go the college route, there's also internship paths. So they're actually working at a really large dealership, getting mechanical training, but they graduated with a diploma, along with all of their classmates, and they were cheered on, and they were all supported by their friends. It was a really great moment. And
Where did they have the graduation?
Songus Arena. So they had
Okay.
Songus Arena, and it's the first students I've ever gotten to stand up and go over and actually shake a hand, because it's usually the superintendent, the chair, and these kids were really special to me. So I actually got to stand up, and it was a big moment.
Did they charge you $30,000? Because that's what they charge the vote.
To what?
Oh, what's the cost of the Songus
Songus,
Arena?
about 30 grand.
Oh, I'm sure we pay something for it. I don't.
It's in your budget.
It's in the budget somewhere. We pay whatever it is. We pay for it every year, right?
But it's guaranteed. You don't have to worry about weather.
It's a great place.
Yeah, it's a great.
You know,
spot.
when COVID was around, we used the Spinners Park, and they never would tell me how much they spent, and now I'm hearing it's upwards of over
I'll find out.
60,000. Over 60,000
Yeah,
they charged us
it's easily
back then.
enough found out. Jay will know.
They will know.
And it's interesting with using, there's that word again, using Songus Arena. In 1998, when my middle son graduated from Chelmsford High School, it rained. It rained for 5 or 6 days. We were going from one weekend to the next. So finally, they said, we got to do graduation before the end of school. So they went to the Songus Arena. So that was, I don't recall that they had done it prior to that.
It was very controversial.
Yeah.
People were not happy about
No,
it.
because
Well,
we
the-
were in Lowell.
Hey,
That's right.
the big thing that bothered me about
difference does it
this year, the Greater Lowell Technical High School had it at the Songus, and right next to them, I don't know how many cars they parked, quite a bit. Not in the garages, I'm talking right next to the Songus Arena. And they had younger kids collecting $20 cash off each vehicle.
Really?
Upwards of maybe 600 vehicles. $20, paying cash. I just couldn't believe. I'm not saying that the children who were collecting the money are keeping any of the money, but it's a lot of money going through their hands, and I would be concerned about that.
Bobby, my favorite story is to talk about that issue. You know where the post office is in downtown.
Yeah.
Some guy took a police horse, which is that wooden thing there that, it's got an A-frame.
Yeah.
And he blocked the driveway. And there was an event, I think it was the Folk Festival. And he charged every car that wanted to park in the post office parking lot $20.
Yeah, that's what happened the other day.
And he got away with it.
Entrepreneur.
The homeless guy got away with it, collected the $20, and he just left the horse there, and once the lot was full, he walked away with a pocket full of cash.
That's crazy.
Good stuff.
Songus Arena does charge, so they might have had other kids there. That's one of the ways they make money is through parking. So they want people to park and pay for parking and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure
Well, I have
the kids.
another little caveat, though. Lowell, those greedy city councilors,
The ones that make money, I heard they make money.
they have a computer, these new parking meters they have,
Yeah.
they have event parking. So if you want to park on the street
Ooh, they nab you.
during an event, you pay $20.
Ooh.
It's called the event fee. Those greedy counselors. And also, if you want to go to a restaurant in downtown Lowell, you have to pay until 8 p.m. to park on the street.
I just park at
Those
John McDonough's
greedy
place.
city counselors. Thank you for
And walk
collecting our
in.
money.
Yeah, I just walk downtown from John McDonough's place. He never even notices when I park here. Just kidding.
That's okay.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. No, yeah, I have no doubt. I have we'll tell just a random story. I got a ticket downtown. Their ticket people are not only aggressive, they're really kind of rude about it. Like, they really enjoy giving people tickets. And so, like, one time I was dropping a refugee family, literally just getting them out of the car and putting them into Lowell High School. And this guy came over and goes, you can't get it. And, like, gives me this whole speech. And I'm an old, retired Army guy. I'm like, just give me the ticket.
Not that old.
I don't need the whole, like, the speech. And,
Oh, so you're a WA.
what's a WA?
A wise ass.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to come to me and be like, hey, you parked illegally here, I got to give you
Because
a
they
ticket.
done a little wonky. I got a WA. Okay.
Yeah. I don't have time for that. Like, and then so they walk around, they prance around with their little ticket thing, and then they, like, give people tickets. And there's one guy in particular in Lowell that's just a real jerk. And I know other people know him because
Oh, there's more than one.
There's one in particular that, like, I had all my Army stuff on, and I don't expect to not get the ticket. Like, I'm big on accountability. If you want, but I don't need, like, this weird, like, do you know what? I don't care. Just give me the ticket. Like, you don't have to lecture me in front of people, like, all those kind of thing. And, like, I'll just pay the ticket because I can afford it. Like, whatever. But Lowell, they're weird about parking. They're
How much,
real weird.
how much do they, is the
The
ticket?
ticket was like $25 or something. But no, I think, so regardless though, I forget what we were talking about there. So the graduation is done, so that's good. The parking is all taken care of. Somebody took care of it. I don't know how much it cost, but we'll find out. And it was a good ceremony. I think Chelmsford's doing really well. We're about to end the school year. The contracts are going really well. We just had our first meeting with the food workers, which is a pretty straightforward contract.
Yeah, that's a small.
That's a small contract. It's also self-funding in a lot of ways. They charge for like a lot of a la carte, so it's a little bit easier to work with. We're still working on all the contracts though. We just had a last set of proposals with the teachers, so we're working through those. Normal stuff. But I actually think we're gonna have the teacher contract done very soon, and in the next like week or so.
Good.
Yep.
Evelyn, if you don't mind, John, I recently went to the Merrimack Valley Food Bank fundraiser at Lindsay's. It was unbelievable,
Yeah.
packed. Of course, I told you about my sister, Project Compass. They
Yep.
got some stuff going. That would be a great place for you to go next time if you didn't
Yeah.
make that. There's a lot of nonprofit people there, and a lot of great donors there too. They raised a lot of money again. I don't know the total figure, but
Yeah.
I know it's well over 100,000,
That's
probably
crazy.
a couple of 100,000. I bet. But it's great turkey dinner though. Oh, was it good? It was the best. Lindsay, listen, their chicken pies is probably the best in the city. I used to say my Market Basket has one just as good.
Yeah. Does Mike
Lindsay
Riley
has.
still own that?
No, Mike Riley has a new business. I got to find out. I hope you people can find out. It's in, I believe, Westford, a new
Okay.
restaurant on his own.
Mike Riley and I graduated high school together.
Yeah, Mike was a great wrestler. I followed
wrestler,
him,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, great wrestler. He was a fun student. He was fun to like be in school with, and I would see him sometimes at like events at Lindsay's. I'd be like, "Oh, what's going on?"
But I want to say something about Chelmsford. You know, I followed a student a while back, Jack Hansberry, come out in the top 5 at Chelmsford High School. Went to Bentley just like Salapoli's kid did. I followed the football program. It's Division II. I'll never forget riding all the way to Erie, Pennsylvania to watch a football game, and then going to Sam. Remember CW Post, that school?
Yep.
I also went there to watch another football game, so they're long rides, but that Division II football is really good. And Salapoli's kid, by the way, just got invited to the Patriots minicamp.
Yeah.
Kid's quite a player.
I saw that in the paper, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's another Chelmsford thing.
Yeah.
And, oh, John, the baseball team, going to the state championship,
Yeah.
buddy. That's a pretty big thing for Chelmsford. That's a big thing for
It
Chelmsford.
is. It is.
For any
our
city.
sports programs are really, really stellar. I mean, like our rugby team is good. All of our teams are pretty good. And
Didn't even know we had a rugby team.
yeah, we
Yeah,
do. We do.
yeah.
Dr. Parks from the McCarthy got that set up a few years ago, and the kids have really loved it. They've placed a lot of times. Yeah, and rugby's not an easy sport either. Glad they're doing it. I love when people come up with new programs. The kids really spearheaded it, and a lot of programs and like these come out of. You got a text?
I got a bunch of texts.
All right, well, I'll just wrap up.
Conclude your thought.
I was going to conclude my thought that I just appreciate that these young men came together, put their own program together, put their own identity together, and that's really what you want out as kids is to be able to like grow and learn how to do things. And I love that they did it. So
The most recent text I'm going to direct to you, John, and then I'll
Sure.
read the other text after you respond. Why don't the Afghan refugees go to Chelmsford schools instead of being dumped in Lowell?
they do go to Chelmsford schools.
He just
Good
said,
answer.
yeah, and he just said the 2
They go-
graduated.
So they don't get
Oh,
dumped.
I'm sorry, Evelyn, I'm stupid, okay?
No,
Anything
I'm
else you wanna
talking
tell
to the
me?
person that is in your text.
I
I can
understand.
address it. I can talk about it.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so Afghans do end up in Lowell, and a lot of time it's about housing availability, right? But no, Afghans have ended up in Chelmsford, we have some in Westford, but there's some in Littleton. They go all over the place. They really go where the volunteers are, right? So the Chelmsford
Makes sense.
families came because myself, Maria Santos, there was a lot of people that wanted to take care of this particular, not take care of, but really wanted to welcome these families. The reason a lot of people end up in Lowell is because of housing costs. So when I grew up in an immigrant family, and I think this is really important, the houses that most refugees or immigrants come into are the same houses my family grew in. So like triple deckers, these downtown crowded neighborhoods. So they do end up going into Lowell schools, and they do have challenges. My hope, as a veteran of Afghanistan, that the people in Lowell and Chelmsford and Westford and all these different places can see a little bit beyond just the immigration arguments we're having in the country and just understand that these people weren't invited here by President Biden. They weren't invited here by a president. A lot of these people were brought here by volunteers
Yeah.
and veterans that really just want to work with Afghans.
Well, they're bona fide refugees.
They're bona fide.
That may-
Well, there's
that's
no
a
more
difference.
refugees. There were no
When your
refugees.
thought's done, John, I'm going to continue with the announcements.
You got other ones? Okay, I'm going. So that's the short answer. A lot of people end up in Lowell because of the housing, and the volunteer community is based there.
Makes sense.
And I think it's important to say, these people you're helping were on our side in
Yeah.
Afghanistan, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so unfortunately, the citizens of the city of Lowell have no one to blame but themselves. They keep putting the same people with no results.
Well,
Great show. Mr. McDonough was away for 3 days. Welcome back, Jay. And then we're going to have the city jack up the price for during events. That's pathetic. I'm not sure if you announced the summer schedule for the program. Okay, maybe he's talking about, yeah, we're going to go on vacation for 2 weeks, but that's not, we'll talk about that more next week. And let me go to the second page of text, and then we'll go back to Evelyn. It says, one of my apparently they've closed the connector at Thorndike Street. You can't get off on Thorndike Street because of the water main break. More revenue for the city. Why does okay, he asked that one.
You get a lot of texts.
Yes.
He
And
just
they usually
said
go
he
up on
got
the screen.
a ticket in Lowell dropping refugees off. Okay, back to you, Evelyn. Thank you for your text. Sorry, I can't put them up on the screen. Some kind of glitch going on, probably
about-
related to the water main break.
Blame it on the water main.
What did you say about the ticket John got from dropping off the say that one again?
Yeah, what'd they say?
Go back to that one.
I didn't get that whole
I didn't
thing.
either, he mumbled.
He just said he got a ticket in Lowell dropping refugees off.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah. I was dropping off at school. It's my fault. I earned the ticket. Look, to the viewers, I earned the ticket. I was parked illegally. Like, I literally got them out of the car, walked them to the door, and he gave me a ticket, and I accept the ticket. Just don't be a jerk about it when you're like, don't
He was
dance.
at a fire hydrant during the fire.
Yeah,
I
you're
understand.
like, I don't need somebody dancing on my grave, all right? You got me. You
That's
got me.
why we call you a WA, respectfully.
Anything worse than a sore loser?
Why
is a
don't
sore
they
winner,
fix
right?
Afghanistan first
Yeah, we know what
and
that
then come
is.
to America?
Well, I didn't catch it. What was the first part of that statement?
Respectfully. Why don't they fix Afghanistan first?
They tried.
We tried for 23 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have a whole discussion about Afghanistan and the failures of Afghanistan. People die all the time in Afghanistan trying to fix their country. They're severely repressed. The Pashtun took over. You know this, right? They took all the military equipment. They're incredibly vicious. Like, I actually still have families that are in hiding in Afghanistan. So we have interpreters that didn't make it out in time before the new administration that are still there. These are people that really can't show their face because of a bunch of reasons. They have bio information on these guys, fingerprints. And so, like, one of my families we have in an apartment in Kabul, a bunch of us pay rent for that person for hopefully for when this gate opens up. These people tried to fix Afghanistan. Their government failed them, the big government that the United States said we're not great at nation building. So the Republic of Afghanistan before the Taliban was really corrupt, and people didn't trust the government. Food wouldn't show up in front of the soldiers, so these soldiers would be out in the field fighting Taliban, and all of a sudden food wouldn't show up. America took away its support, so all of a sudden they lost air cover at the end of 2020. And these aren't blame things; these are just things that happened. I agree. I would love Afghans to fix Afghanistan, but in the meantime, I think you're missing the point. Is that Afghans are absolutely outstanding people. They work really hard. They go to school, and they want jobs, and they want to be great Americans.
And to back that up, John,
Yeah.
after the Vietnam War,
Yes.
we picked up the largest concentration of Southeast Asian
Yes.
people in the country,
One
maybe
of the
number
best
two.
things.
We're number two.
And it's worked out well.
Long Beach,
Yep.
California has the most, but
Yes.
Lowell was the second amount, and believe me, it's one of the best things that ever happened to Lowell, as
Yeah.
far as demographics go.
Comment from the
I agree
audience,
with you.
people also die in America at the hands of migrants.
They do. They die at the hands of Americans too. I mean, the people die. It's not really as
Right, but if
what
you
Joni
have-
Ernst liked to say. We all die someday. So.
But in
Right.
Massachusetts,
So we're
we don't
saying
lock
sooner
them
than
up
later.
anymore. We close prisons down to make affordable housing. Concord Prison will be the first one you can watch,
Oh,
what
I
they've
can't-
done to that place.
Can't even believe it.
It's ridiculous.
Okay,
What do you
so-
What do you want to do? Just keep it a prison that
We
is-
need to incarcerate people that murder people, that rape people. We need to incarcerate
Well, that's
them.
not the. I think the point though of Concord Prison though is it's become too expensive. Like it's too old, right? And it's become a huge drain on the state, right? It costs tens of millions of dollars to keep the building over. I mean, I also agree you should jail people.
That is
Well,
part
I
of the
just
problem.
also think, like, for the state, if you're making good financial decisions, you look at Concord. And outside of the fact that Concord Rotary, they literally split Concord in half. There's like East Concord, I think, and then there's regular part of Concord.
West Concord.
West Concord, sorry, right? And I think they deserve the right now to have that land reconnected, right? To put Concord back together. I think they took one for the team. They took the Rotary. They have an opportunity to fix that Rotary, which I'm stoked about. Forget about the housing. I just want the Rotary fixed.
They can't do the housing unless they fix the road.
Right, you got to fix the Rotary. So at the end of it all, I think like you can't keep people. If you have a task like putting people in prison, right? Like you got to put someone in jail. If the building isn't safe and it's old and it costs more money to run than it does, I just think it was a money sink. And I think all the people in Concord have a needle to thread here.
Well, I've been retired for 15 years. I worked at Concord for
Yeah.
almost 20 years. And I can say this about the prisons right now. When you close a place like Concord, what happens is the other prisons become more populated.
Yeah.
And Evelyn brought up,
Just a second, but hold that thought, Bob.
Yeah.
You're looking at Thorndike and Highland Street. They got a water main break this morning, and traffic is a real mess.
It's a real mess.
All the way down Highland Street, you're going to see there's traffic all over the place.
Good thing I came in when I did.
People trying to get through to the Rogers School, trying to
Or
get to the
before
train
getting out of
station. It's just Thorndike Street inbound is closed. So if you have a relative or friend that comes, they commute that way, you might want to give them a heads up. Find a different way to get to the train station. If you have to get to the train station, you're up the creek, buddy. You're up the creek. Back to you.
You know,
No pun intended.
Evelyn mentioned fentanyl a little earlier. I still, after 15 years retired, I have people call me that work in the prisons.
Yeah.
They're having major problems with a drug called K2. It's a synthetic marijuana, constantly narcanning people, constant inside the prisons. And normally, the prisons will have most of the bad things first, then they come to the streets. So beware of this synthetic marijuana
Yeah.
called K2. It's a real serious, bad drug.
Yeah, there's some nasty stuff out there. It's not like it wasn't like the 70s where like you had a couple things to worry about. You know, I talk to my kids and I'm like, the stuff that like kids do, right? They go out with their friends, they party. Like a lot of times now, you know, a single drug can be the last mistake, right? Because of the stuff they put the fentanyl and those kinds of
Yeah,
things.
they don't know.
John, turn to the school committee. This is Rogers School. They're gonna have some fun at the Rogers School. They got a bouncy house.
Rogers
over
School
there
looks like a
today.
bouncy house. I'm just saying.
So, what, you guys do the same stuff out in Chesterfield? Like they had an ice cream truck here yesterday, giving kids ice
Yeah.
cream?
Oh, yeah. We do a ton of different, every school has their own social events and social calendar, for sure we do. I don't know if we've had a bouncy house for a while, but I will talk to Dr. Lang about it.
Yeah. that's-
No, we love stuff like that. We do a lot of school events. I go to a bunch of different things throughout the year.
We got 29 schools. There's 1,000 children in that school. That will be out of air by 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
They'll beat that thing into the ground.
Yes, a good time. Well, yesterday, like I said, bro, yesterday they had the ice cream truck
I
out
seen
front.
it. I seen it.
They did a fantastic job.
It's oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. One of the events, though, that is at the elementary schools is the clap out.
Yeah, they have the clap out. They have, they have the Boo Bash, right? We have Boo Bash. We have like all kinds of cool events. My kids are older now, so they're doing more cool things with their friends. But definitely, especially the younger ages, they really try to show.
But I got the latest comment. The Southeast Asian people who came here didn't expect things. They wanted an opportunity to make a living, not just free stuff. I think
Yes.
everybody who comes to America is looking
Best
for a
thing that's
better
ever
life,
happened
Jay.
to us, as far as the demographics go, best thing. They're not
But
our
there's a
problem.
lot of people that are here that are not citizens. They've been here 25, 30 or more. They've paid taxes because they got jobs. They did that. They really should have gone through the process. But then you have the 20 million that came in
There's
and,
no 20 million. That's a made-up number.
well, anyway, there's
It's
a
a made-up
lot.
number. I mean, you're saying 20 million. It's not real. It's not a real number.
What
It's
is,
not
do you
20
have a
million.
real number?
It's not 20 million.
Well,
You're including
13?
literally every immigrant that came in for 4 years.
Well, we'll look
that-
it
You know,
up.
you can look up anything you want. I mean, so I'll give you an example with athletes, right? They just canceled TPS. All those people were here legally, right? Because they were here under temporary protected status. And then this administration canceled that temporary protected status. Those people went from legal to illegal from that action. And that's the same thing with and whether you agree that 500,000 people should come from the Dominican Republic or not, they were here under temporary protected status, which I know you know is legal because Maria Santos came on the show and explained to you how
I don't have a problem with that, by the way, and I think it was
But then
wrong that
stop
they
saying-
did that.
Then stop saying 20 million people came here illegally, because the only people that are becoming illegal now are the ones that they're canceling their TPS for, or the ones they're arresting at the court process, going through the process you just mentioned. They're arresting people at their interviews. So the process is broken. There is no process. There's no immigration process in the United States except what they decide. And that's really it. The 9,000 Afghans that canceled the TPS immediately became illegal.
Now, John, just a second. My hero,
Yeah.
and your, I don't know what you call a person you don't like, Donald Trump, okay?
I
He
don't
was
actually-
elect- no,
I don't talk about Donald Trump
Now,
on the
listen,
show.
I'm going to
And
talk.
we try not to either.
I
I'm
don't.
going to talk, and
I didn't say his name.
on a talk show, when two people talk, people
Well,
change the channel.
Go.
If you run for office
Mm-hmm.
and you say that I will cancel every snow day,
Mm-hmm.
and you make your promise, you tell Jay Lang,
Mm-hmm.
there'll be no more snow days. That's it. I don't care. And we get a blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, I don't care. I was elected. No snow days. There will be school. Trump was elected. One of the things he guaranteed was, I'm going to kick these people out.
Sure.
Not his words, those are my words. He's just doing what he promised to do. Thoughts?
He also, my thoughts are, he took an oath and he also made a promise to follow the laws, right? And so what I'm telling you is, I understand the illegal argument. I do understand the illegal argument.
So what would you do with the illegals?
Me, I would have hired more judges and just adjudicated their cases and got them out. Here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, you
I
promised.
love this example. Well, let me give you this example.
He's breaking the law
So-
to remove people from their court proceedings.
Here's
He's having ICE, excuse
here's
me,
the deal,
he's
John.
having ICE go on private properties. He's having ICE go into private facilities
Yep.
without warrants, without,
With the
you, if you
applause.
were willing to give up your rights, if you were willing to give up your due process rights because you want to go after illegal immigrants, if you want people to go into people's houses and onto their properties, if you want American citizens to keep getting deported, I'm not saying you shouldn't deport the people. And this argument that it has to be this other swing is ridiculous. They
Sorry,
can
we're
deport people,
gonna run out of
just
time.
follow the rules. You guys keep saying we want them to follow the process.
John,
They're arresting people
You go
in
home
the
today.
process.
If you go home today and you find a homeless guy in your house watching TV.
There's no homeless guy. What are these weird analogies? There's no homeless guy in my house, John.
Okay, if you do, you call the cops, say, look, I got an unwanted in my house, come over here. The cops come over and the guy says, I want to hear it.
What are you talking about?
I want to
He's
hear
using an
it.
analogy
This
between
is
his
a dumb
house and
analogy.
the country.
It's
But-
true.
and it's an
If I
analogy
had
people
somebody
use.
working on my house in my pool
Just 'cause you
and the
don't
ICE
like it.
shows up and walks onto my property and arrests him, he walked onto my property illegally. I don't know if that guy is, so here's the thing, we believe in two different forms of government. There is a form of government where you believe that the president can say, I promise something, and then just ignore all the other promises he made, right? He also promised he was only gonna go after criminals. And they deported 2 Afghans last week. They deported 2 Afghans who were going for their asylum interview, their second one. People are trying to go through the process that for years, conservatives have said, we just want them to go through the process correctly. They're arresting them in the process.
John, I'm sorry.
They're arresting them
We're out of time.
in the courts.
I enjoy
We're
having
out
a
of
good
time.
discussion with you.
We're not
There's not 21 illegal people.
Well, we're still on Facebook and YouTube, but we're off in Chelmsford.
The number most people
We
see.
were not
that
on a
agree
low
is 10
today.
million.
Well, anyway, for Facebook,
It's
have a
not
great
enough.
day, everybody, and we'll see you next week. We do have a June 19th program.
And the way you get fired up, you might beat my views on Tuesday, and I don't like that. I like-
Oh, jeez.
That's why you
I
gotta
like
come on
to
and
be
do
the
it again.
leader.
With him, it's all about the numbers.
Right, and today you did a great job.
Yeah.
You know what happens in Lowell, a lot of people stay after their visas, like run out. This
Yeah, no, I know.
That's where we get a lot of numbers.
And again, it's a civil
Hey,
crime.
I'm going to shut the mics off.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching.
But
See you
it's a civil
tomorrow.
crime. Here's the thing.
They don't believe how toxic this is. If you're still using a plastic or wooden cutting board, you need to hear this. I never post stuff.
Wait. Sure. Kids. You want to walk this way with me? Or are you gonna? He wants to walk. He's gonna watch
I'm lunch right over there on the other side of the street there.